This is lacrosse, a dynamic sport played in over 700 colleges and universities and 2,000 high schools nationwide. Officiating this high-energy sport takes a special breed of individual. It is fast, exhilarating, and demanding both physically and mentally. Officiating lacrosse is terrific exercise and wonderful camaraderie. To prepare, lacrosse officials receive their training through U.S. Lacrosse, the national governing body for men's and women's lacrosse. U.S. Lacrosse is committed to developing officials, coaches, and players, and is proud to include this video as a component of the men's officials training program. The training is clear, concise, and designed to give the beginning official the knowledge and the confidence needed to join the third team on the field.
Officials are an integral part of the game. They stand for all that is good about athletics: honor, integrity, and self-control in the midst of passion.
How do we as referees measure our success and worth to the game? We are not the focal point of the game, the athletes are. But we are a crucial factor in making the game a success. We strive to provide professional and quality service at all times.
When we do a good job, no one gains an advantage. When we do an exceptional job, no one knows we were there. We control the game invisibly. We are the men in stripes, the third team on the field. This fast game demands that you make judgments every second that you are on the field. How do you evaluate what to call or what to ignore? Keep two principles firmly in mind: safety and fair play. Trust your instincts and remember your training. As a result of the play, did any player gain an unfair advantage? Was his opponent placed in an unfair advantage? If so, then the play is probably illegal. Experience is knowing what mistakes to avoid. But how do we gain experience? By making mistakes. What are the objectives of this video?
This video has been designed to be used in conjunction with 3 tools that are provided by U.S. Lacrosse and its Men's Division Officials Council: your rulebook, the Officials Training Manual, and the Mechanics Manual.
Please feel free to stop this tape and reference the sections of the tape that I'll be discussing. The training manual approaches the videotape in a coordinated fashion. Now let's talk about the first dimension of your game. You know, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. From the moment that you walk onto the field, you are defining your character and professionalism to the coaches and players.
No one would think about working for a new employer looking like a slob. All officials should dress neatly and professionally at all times. They have been preparing for this game since January. Which one of these officials is headed for trouble? Refer to the appropriate section of the Officials Training Manual.
In addition, your casual saunter, overconfidence, and potentially arrogant demeanor are all concerns that activate a coach's radar.
The official should be an agent of calm and control. Appearance, attitude, and physical conditioning are performance criteria an official can control that will help control the game as well.
The importance of communication on the field cannot be stressed enough. Communication exists between you and your partners, between you and the players, and between you and the bench. Officials are a team on the field, and communication is the glue that holds them together. Without this communication, you are separate individuals running your own games, and nothing gets a contest headed downhill faster than inconsistency. There are many procedures that enhance good communication. Constant eye contact with each other can help to accomplish rapid restarts, or avoid putting the ball back in play when your partner is out of position or not ready. Communication with the players is an important opportunity to establish rapport, but to also let them know the boundaries of your judgment. Warnings are a part of this process and should be delivered in an informative, quiet, and polite way. Hand signals must be sharp and crisp so that your partner knows what is going on and can help to move the game to the next whistle.
Hand signals and a strong, clear voice also help the players and the coaches understand the call and how they should react to it. As soon as you blow your whistle, you are on stage and need to be clear and confident.
In college games, there are often 2 hours of preparation, called a pregame. In high school, you are lucky to have 10 minutes to change out of the trunk of your car. Your pregame must start at home or on your way to the game.
You must take every opportunity to mentally prepare yourself for the contest by going over situations that have happened to you before and reviewing the points of emphasis for the season. Walking on the field prepared, relaxed, and focused is an important part of your pregame. Like players, referees can benefit from visualizing situations in their minds prior to the game.
As officials, we must always be ready to protect the safety of the players. Personal fouls are the category of fouls that are dangerous to life and limb or undermine the basic integrity of the game.
Slashing is not a difficult foul to understand. You may use your stick to dislodge the ball from an opponent's stick as long as you make contact with the cross or the gloved hands of the opponent. Any attempt to check a player without having the ability to reach his cross is probably a good indication of whether a slash has occurred. The severity of the blow must be taken into consideration. A mere tap does not translate to a slash, even if the concept of reach has not been satisfied. A good concept to keep in mind at the lower levels: would the contact have hurt if the player was not wearing equipment? If so, then it's a slash. When a player has been dodged or when a turnover has occurred, pay careful attention to a check that is retaliatory. Poor judgment is often used here. In addition, defensive players may lunge at a player who is about to shoot. These desperation situations are also times to look for the slash to occur. One-handed checks are permissible as long as they satisfy the criteria of reaching the stick. But one-handed checks that are intimidating, retaliatory, or thrown in desperation should be watched carefully. However, an uncontrolled swing, whether it reaches the stick or not, is probably a slash. A brush is mere contact with the helmet of an opposing player. A slash to the head must be a definite blow. Again, the interpretation at the lower levels of the game would be, would the contact have hurt if the player was not wearing equipment? If so, then it's a slash.
Illegal body checks come in four main varieties: high hits, low hits, hits from the rear, and late hits. Two other conditions, spearing and checking a player who is off his feet, will also be covered.
High hits either originate above the shoulders or are part of a follow-through that starts as a legal check and then rises up above the shoulders. Low hits are body contact below the waist, or a legal hit that starts above the waist and then the follow-through falls below the waist. There are no diving blocks below the waist in lacrosse. From the rear is an illegal body check that is similar to a clip in football. Unless a player deliberately turns to avoid a body check, all contact must be from the side or in front. A key to catching the illegal body check is to look at the position of the player's feet. It is very difficult to make a legal body check if your feet are behind the feet of the player being checked. Late hits normally occur after a player has shot the ball or released a pass. The timing here is crucial. If a player is capable of stopping himself or slowing himself down after the pass or shot has been released, then the player must decelerate. Unavoidable contact may occur as long as the player attempts to throttle down. Any player who accelerates into an opponent or maintains the same velocity after a pass or a shot when he could have decelerated is probably guilty of a late hit.
Spearing is one of the most dangerous forms of contact in lacrosse. Not only is spearing dangerous for the person who receives the blow, it is also very dangerous for the person delivering the blow. Lacrosse players must never lead with their helmets.
Spearing is leading with the head or trying to use the helmet as a weapon. A lacrosse helmet does not provide the same type of protection that a football helmet does. Combine that with the crown-shaped visor on the helmet and the face mask, and there is a large potential that the neck may be injured when delivering a blow in this fashion. Deliberate spearing should be penalized with a non-releasable 3-minute personal foul. Hits that occur when a player is off his feet. You mostly find these violations during face-offs or scrums for loose balls. If any part of a player, other than his 2 feet, is on the ground and a body check occurs, you probably have unnecessary roughness or an illegal body check.
Unnecessary roughness covers a multitude of sins. We'll look at the most common forms here: lining up an opponent and unloading on offensive screens.
Lining up an unsuspecting player may be an act of unnecessary roughness, even if the check is legal. Long, high buddy passes are an invitation to lining up the pass receiver. Body contact in lacrosse must be spontaneous and appropriate. Taking a 10-yard run at someone is extremely dangerous. Deliberate and excessively violent contact made by a defensive player against an offensive player who has established a legal screening position is unnecessary roughness.
Cross-checking is using the handle of the cross as a defensive weapon.
Cross-checking occurs when a player extends his hands toward his opponent, using the handle of a stick to deliver a blow. The thrusting of the handle toward the player is a prerequisite for cross-checking to occur.
Technical fouls are fouls of a lesser nature. These are the type of fouls where an advantage may be apparent. Technical fouls carry a 30-second penalty if committed by the defensive team, a loss of the ball if committed by the offensive team, or the possession of the ball if the penalty occurs in a loose ball situation. Pushing is probably the most common technical foul.
Pushing occurs when an advantage is gained by pushing an opponent from the rear. A player does not have to leave his feet as a result of the push. Has the pushed player lost the opportunity to complete a play? If so, it's illegal. When does the push normally occur? When an opponent is trailing a player on a ground ball, when the ball is trapped on a sideline or end line, and it's tempting to push the player out of bounds. When an offensive player is trying to shoot, or when the defense slides to the shooter a step too late. When a player loses possession of the ball as a result of a pushing infraction, this would normally draw a 30-second penalty. But you might want to apply the advantage-disadvantage concept to a ball carrier who is pushed while moving away from the goal and never loses possession.
Holding occurs when the player uses a free hand to restrict another player, or uses his stick to hold a player from moving on the field.
When the ball carrier has beaten his defensive man to the off-stick side, you can frequently anticipate that the defenseman may use his stick to gain an advantage by holding the ball carrier from advancing toward the goal. Another advantage-disadvantage call is the one-handed wraparound check, where the defender's free hand is on the ball carrier's back. If he uses that free hand to gain an advantage, such as supporting his weight, then this is probably a 30-second hold. Holding does not occur when a player uses his stick to withhold another player's stick within 5 yards of the ball.
Play in and around the crease can be a confusing part of the game. The goalie has the privilege of the crease, which basically means that no one can interfere with him while he is playing a ball in the crease.
A clear way to define goalie privilege is to first determine, is the ball inside or outside the imaginary cylinder defined by the crease line extending upward. When the ball is inside the cylinder, the goalie is entitled to an unobstructed play on the ball. Offensive players can also play the ball, but making contact with the goalie is a risk that they undertake, for the penalty here is interference. When the ball is outside of the imaginary cylinder formed by the crease line extending upward, the goalie plays the ball under different conditions. As long as he maintains one or both feet in the crease, his body cannot be interfered with, but players can check his stick with some restrictions. Secondly, a goalie with at least a foot in the crease may not be interfered with as soon as he gains possession of the ball. However, as soon as the goalie leaves the crease, losing the privilege of the crease area, he is like any other player on the field and subject to stick checks and body checks within 5 yards of a loose ball. Potential infractions occur so rapidly in the crease area, whether they involve crease violations, interference, shots, or loose balls that are played inside or just above the crease. There is no substitute for being on top of the play.
Offsides is a violation of the balanced field theory in the game. This rule has been instituted so that 9 players do not crowd around the crease.
There must always be 4 players on the defensive half of the field, 3 defensemen and a goalie, and at least 3 players on the offensive half of the field. However, this is not a restriction by position, but a team restriction. Therefore, a defensive player may move into the offensive area as long as an offensive player stays back for him.
Interference is literally blocking for your teammates or interfering with goalie play.
All offensive picks must be stationary, just as in basketball. Any advantage gained by leaning or moving into a defensive player is interference. Interfering with the goalie when he is in the crease or on the follow-through of his clearing pass is also interference.
A large part of successful officiating in any sport is knowing where to be on the field in order to make the right calls. Let's start with some basic terminology.
In the 2-man game, the referee and the umpire will take turns being the lead and the trail. The lead is on the goal. The trail is backing up the play. When the ball changes hands, the lead and trail responsibilities shift. In a settled situation, the official who is closest to the ball is the on official, and his partner is the off official. These designations determine what you should be looking at.
Know the 4 places on the field where you can't go wrong.
When you are the trail and you don't know where to position yourself on offense, go to the corner of the restraining box. If there is a loose ball and you are unsure where to position yourself, go to the junction of the midfield line and the sideline. If you are the lead and you don't know where to position yourself on offense, go to the goal line extended. If there is a shot and you don't know where to position yourself, go to the end line. A section of the official's training manual and a section of the mechanics manual are dedicated to the 1-man game. Please refer to these resources for more information.
A face-off takes place at the beginning of every quarter, unless a penalty and possession carry over from the previous quarter, and after every goal, except when a foul occurred after the just completed scoring play.
For the official, it is important that the face-off is quick, clean, and the ball is picked up quickly and put into play. Face-offs are covered in depth in the mechanics manual, but here are the 6 things to think about. When you set the players for a face-off, look at these 6 things. 1. Are the sticks parallel? 2. Are they straight up and down? 3. Is the ball placed in the center of the stick? 4. Is there a violation of the neutral cylinder above the stick heads? 5. Are the players' knuckles of both hands on the ground? And 6. Are the feet of the athletes to the left of their stick heads? Glance at all this quickly. Say the word set, back off, and either start play with a quick whistle or take the ball away from the offending player. Be careful not to wait too long between set and the whistle. Back out on the face-off in such a way that you can see the action closely, but so that you can also sprint to your goal in case of a fast break.
If an official is in the proper position and knows where to look, most calls are very easy to make. But when an official is out of position or looking in the wrong place, problems will occur. In a 2-man game, each official works into his right-hand corner.
By this, we mean that each official has a sideline and an end line to call. The lead and the trail both have specific obligations when the ball is in a settled situation. A clock superimposed over the crease helps to define who has on and off the ball responsibilities. Officials also move laterally to adjust their positions as the ball moves in a settled situation. Consult the mechanics manual for more detail in this area.
This is where most officials spend their lives, looking at the half-field game.
The dodge, shot, goal sequence lies at the heart of the modern game. This dodge and the shot are not difficult to officiate. The fouls are either there or they are not. It is what happens after the shot that requires special attention. The on official is responsible for the foul and the goal. The off official should be looking elsewhere at interference or related activity. It is a cardinal mistake for both officials to watch the ball. In a 6-on-6 situation, if both officials watch the ball, who is watching the other 10 to 11 players? After the goal is scored, the lead official is responsible for the defensive team, and the trail official is responsible for the offensive team. The shooter may celebrate or taunt. The defensive team may intimidate or retaliate. Miss the baiting, and the defensive team may go wild. Miss the late hit, and the offense could become inflamed. Miss the sequence because the lead was getting the ball out of the net, and the trail was marking a scorecard, and you may have a major problem.
The dodge, pass, goal sequence is a little more difficult to officiate because two offensive players have touched the ball, and two opportunities in rapid succession now exist for infractions to occur.
Any violation that happens directly to the ball carrier is the on official's responsibility. The off official calls illegal picks, pushes, interference, and late hits. The on official has the ball. The off official has every part of the offensive and defensive action that adjusts to the ball.
Forcing turnover is the focus of the defensive game. Here the ball changes hands either as a result of a save, a check, or an errant pass that produces a ground ball.
In this situation, the lead and trail responsibilities shift with the new possession. When the ball is on the ground, a neutral situation, who has what responsibilities? The on official should frame the play and look for elbows, slashes, and who last touched the ball, while the off official, furthest from the play, should look for the push call. If the goalie makes a save, the previous lead is now the trail and counts the 4 seconds, while looking for offensive or defensive interference. A slow roller to the midfield line. Here players jockey for possession of the ball, and this becomes the new lead's responsibility. The new trail should move up as well and look for the push.
The transition game is one of the most dynamic aspects of the men's game and a real challenge to cover well in two-man mechanics. A rule of thumb: lead sprints, trail jogs.
The lead official has the entire responsibility in two-man mechanics for the goal. He must run a path to the cage that is wide enough to allow the play to occur without getting involved in the play itself, sense who the open people are, and anticipate the defensive rotation. But he must end up on the goal line extended and moving toward the cage if there is a crease violation, the ball enters the net, or the ball goes over the end line. If there is a violation behind the play, including a late hit, unsportsmanlike conduct, or offsides, the trail makes the call. But the trail needs to prioritize what he is looking at. It is far better to pick up a late hit than to be counting offsides. And you can't do both that well. Here's a hint. Learn to count the men coming over the midline rather than counting the men who have stayed back.
Officiating is not an easy pursuit. The best officials in the world make mistakes and are subject to ridicule. But you can understand the dynamics of the game and thus plan for emotional reactions.
In a chaotic world of competition, conflict, collisions, and people living vicariously through their sports heroes, officials have become a voice of reason in a world of emotion. You can't please everyone, but always put forth your best effort on the field.
Neither seek nor avoid conflict. It will find you soon enough. The first thing to remember is that the irate coach, the frustrated player, and the crazed parent are not yelling at you. They are yelling at the shirt, at the institution of law and order. Certainly their perceptions may differ from yours. You are neutral, while their perceptions carry a powerful bias.
Before you get upset at the situation, take a deep breath and ask yourself, when I made the call, was I out of position? And when I made the call, did I apply the proper rule?
Criticism is warranted if you were out of position or got the ruling wrong. But if you were in position and the ruling was correct, then why is everyone upset? Because, like Mount Everest, you are there. You may not be popular, but you are probably correct. Remember, your job is to inform players and coaches, not convince them.
Coaches, players, and fans are looking for every advantage that they can get. They perceive that you are an obstacle to their success, and under these circumstances, officials are fair game. How do you assess yourself as a young official? Answer these 4 questions. Did you hustle to be in the proper position? Did you enforce the rules without prejudice? Did any player or team gain an unfair advantage? Did you adhere to the advice, neither seek nor avoid?
U.S. Lacrosse has identified a number of issues relating to sportsmanship within the game and is taking positive steps to protect the culture of the sport.
As a lacrosse official, you are joining a group of men and women who understand the manner in which this game is played. They have a sense of humor, and they understand that the perfect game has never been officiated. Work with these officials. They will not only help your game, but they will help to maintain the perspective that you have to have if you are going to succeed at officiating lacrosse.
The sport of lacrosse is not stagnant. With the rapid growth of the game of men's lacrosse, changes occur quickly.
The game of men's lacrosse exists at a lot of different levels, and there is a real temptation for young athletes to emulate the kind of performance and behavior that they see in the college games or in the professional leagues.
Younger athletes don't have the control over their bodies that the college and post-collegiate athletes do. So what would not be perceived as reckless play at the college or advanced high school level would be seen as unacceptable play at the lower levels of the game.
You need to understand what the sport is trying to accomplish at the lower levels of the game and be on the same page as your partners.
Reward the technical skills versus the physical skills at the lower levels of the game. Remember, safety is the principal reason why we do this job.
There are a lot of nuances to officiating men's lacrosse. You'll learn these as you begin to master the rules, the mechanics, the positioning, and the subtleties of handling players and coaches. Don't try and get too far ahead of yourself. Remember what level you are working at and what the needs of that game are.
The person who can go onto the field prepared, who knows his position, the mechanics, and the rules will have a positive experience with each and every game. At this point, there is only one lesson left: the individual in the mirror.
There may be points in your officiating career when you are faced with a challenging decision. Perhaps it will involve a call that would favor the team with the influential coach, a decision that would award a man-up situation to the home team, or a pay voucher that is inaccurately high. Take these circumstances as an opportunity to demonstrate your commitment to being honest and fair. Set a good example and look at yourself in the mirror with pride at the end of the day.
Welcome to the fraternity of lacrosse officials. It's a great bunch of people who love this game and want to see it grow. So as you begin preparation for your season, remember these final words: get it right, and don't take shortcuts by avoiding the hard calls. And most importantly, have fun out there. Have a great game.
U.S. Lacrosse, the national governing body of men's and women's lacrosse, can help you to become an official, a coach, a better player, or an educated fan. U.S. Lacrosse also offers free team startup programs, grants, positive coaching alliance workshops, and much more.